Hey folks, I just wanted to take a little bit of time in the introduction before we get into the quadratic formula to talk about simplifying roots. Now we're going to see simplifying roots in the radicals unit, but we're going to complicate them a little bit more through the use of variables, okay? So oftentimes in the quadratic formula, which is coming up, we're going to be getting square roots like that. And the most pre-calculus answer would be simplifying the square roots. So when we say simplifying the square roots, here's the technique. Item number 1, find the greatest common or perfect square factor. And then that is, oh, that one isn't super helpful. Yeah, there we go. Find the greatest perfect square factor, and then it becomes a little bit easier. So for this one, real easy. Square root of 16 is simply 4. Bam. And here, the square root of 64 is simply 8. Bam. But what happens when we have 125? Now, a portion of it, one of the factors, is a perfect square. But the other portion of it is not. So if I were to break this up, I would say the square root of 125 is simply 25 times 5. All right? So the next thing I can do is I can say, that's just the same thing as the square root of 25 times the square root of 25. Now you can't do that if the operation between here is adding. You can't do that. But oh, not 25, this should just be 5. But you can do that if the operation is multiplication. Then the next thing is simplify this. The square root of 25 is 5. And then you get the root of 5. Now it looks a little bit funny, 5 root 5, but that's the way we do it. Let's look at this one right here. The square root of 48 is, we're going to say 4 times 12. You don't have to write this part down because this one, I want to show you something. So that's just the same thing as the square root of 4 times the square root of 12, which is 2 root 12. Wait a minute, there's still a factor of 4 in that 12. So that means that we did find a perfect square factor, 4, but we didn't find the greatest. So instead, what we can do is we can say the square root of 48 is 16 times 3. And that's just the same as root 16 times the square root of 3, which is the same thing as 4 root 3. Bam. That's my answer. Now what I want you to do for the remaining 11, I think, I want you to try that on your own. And if you're having any problems with it, I want you to come and ask for help, either your peers or a teacher in the classroom.